Okay, that's relieving. I guess some people have understood that you have to wear headphones in order to understand this presentation. If I'm too loud, give me a sign because I'm not wearing headphones, so I will try my best. So I'm Anne Kruse. I work for CityLab, part of Technologiestiftung Berlin, and I present you Kiezlabor, which is our project that we have since last year. And I will focus especially on the part that we call empowering communities, and also how the Kiezlabor can serve as a tool that is analog to bring the topic of digital transformation to Berlin's citizens. So I wanted to start with this picture because, yes, this was 1 year ago at Republika. This was our Auftakt, our start, our big beginning. This was the opening party on Monday in the afternoon. A lot of people came by to see our container that serves as a tiny house. So this is the backside of the container. I brought you lots of images because I think it's easy to understand what we do and how it works if you see a lot of photos of mostly our past year. So it's a kind of self-sufficient tiny house with some solar panels on the top. We have water, we have electricity, we have internet. It's in a formal shipping container, and it serves as an open space for encounters, get-togethers. And it is part of Berlin's smart city strategy, Gemeinsam Digital Berlin. I want to mention it because it was also as a result of a lot of participation processes leading up to the strategy that a lot of citizens said, actually, we don't want everything digital. We also want places where we can go and actually talk to people, talk to the administration about digital stuff, but also just about topics that they care about. So our idea with this is to bring CityLab Berlin, which is the public innovation lab of Berlin. You can see a longer presentation of it by Benjamin Seibel today in the afternoon because we celebrate 5 years of CityLab. But yeah, with the Kiezlabor, our idea is to bring the approach from CityLab, which is prototypical working looking at needs of people. And our approach is to go to the people, to where the people live, to go to the streets and actually bring topics that are relevant to them in different formats to them. And you can find us all over Berlin from May to October in different neighborhoods all over Berlin. I can show you at the end where we will be this year. Right now, my colleagues are in Gropiusstadt, so if you have time and want to visit Gropiusstadt, it's in the south of Neukölln. Very interesting program still until until coming Friday. So I want to explain a bit more what we do, and then I also show you some examples of some locations we had last year of how it works. So, as I said, we want to provide an open space, basically a platform that different users can come and use. It's curated, so we look at who the people are, where they're coming from, and what they want to bring. And then in each space that we go to, our target group is basically everyone. Of course, we have different formats for specific target groups, but we try to focus on young people, old people, people who like digital topics or who don't like digital topics. We offer a space to meet and to talk about big and small challenges of the present and try to come up with courageous ideas and sustainable visions for the future. That sometimes can look like very small scale visions. Like here you see an image of a composting workshop. But yeah, the idea is to have little composting stations in all neighborhoods of Berlin. So it can also be very analog, very small ideas. And we use digital tools and also look at them critically. What is the potential of the digital transformation? So oftentimes we have different topics that are not necessarily focused on digitalization, but we use a lot of digital tools. So in that way we also show people and give people a feeling for how it could be useful. Our container is very flexible for many formats. Here you see an image where we have a little workshop in Kiez last year. So we can have a space to work with residents and workshops, initiatives and participation formats. We can also use it, if we open both doors, we can also use it as a small stage to present projects, plans and ideas to the public. And we can also use it as a public living room for small-scale dialogue. So it can also be very cozy and small. Here you see an example of our mobile Bürgeramt, citizens' office. Everyone who lives in Berlin probably knows the problem of getting appointments at one of the Bürgeramts to register, to get your passport and so on. So we try here in this case with a local Ausbildungsbürgeramt, from Friedrichshain-Kreuzberg. So it's a Bürgeramt where they can actually try out a bit more because it's for the people who are in the training still. So they come to us this year again. So look out at our website for the Ausbildungsbürgeramt. There you can come and get your appointment without signing up for it. So they try out a pop-up version of a Bürgeramt to also look into how could a Bürgeramt look in the future. And people love it when they just come by. Sometimes they sit inside, but sometimes they also just sit on the street. And people first look very confused, then they're very happy to be able to get their passports prolonged, for example. So our idea is also to work at the nexus of administration and civil society to bringing different actors together in a very accessible space. We also try to offer some urban design prototyping here. So we're using Urbanist AI, which is an AI that we use for working with photos of the area, of streets or squares or so, and adjust them with the help of AI to wishes of people who participate. In this case, it's primary school kids from Lembo Grundschule in September last year who loved this idea and it's an actual use case in this case because the street in front of their school is redeveloped. So some of the ideas are a bit radical, like a pond with koi fishes, but maybe some of the ideas can actually be part of the plans. We also do some hands-on workshops. In this case, this was also next to Publica last year, but in front, so everyone could join. It was called In Search for Sound, and a colleague of mine always offers some workshops where people work with sensors to different topics to just experience how it is to actually work hands-on and how to look at their environment in a different way. And now I want to show you some example locations, because I think, so to also give you an example of what we actually did so far and where we want to go from there. So we try, or at least, I think we managed to always get local topics and partners. We realized last year that it is key for our success to work with local partners that include local authorities and administration, civil society actors, neighborhood initiatives, sometimes local companies and educational institutions. Because we only stay for 1 to 4 weeks actually. So we just come and then we go. But in order to make it more sustainable, to leave something at the place, it's ideal if we work with the local partners that then can continue whatever comes up in those days or weeks. And not just have it a nice event that is a pop-up like a festival, but also create small or bigger things that can stay. So this was one of the examples that we did last year. We were in August on the Tempelhofer Feld, and we had the topic of climate in the city. We thought it was a good idea to look at climate in the city because Tempelhofer Feld is big topic of discussion, and we want to look at the space. How does it contribute to climate resilience, but also, not just in Tempelhofer Feld, but also the surrounding neighborhoods on topics such as climate resilience, urban green, trees, mobility, and heat. And this was one this was our second location actually. So we were still trying out, and we managed to find some civil society actors and local administration, and work with them on topics like biodiversity, the biodiverse green space, and some of the ideas could actually be used for the local Kiezlabor initiative in Tempelhof. And this what you see here on the picture is a workshop with the library, where people act as local politicians to get an idea how it feels to make decisions regarding extending bike lanes in Berlin, which was quite cool to just bring very different people together on this topic. This was the last location last year in Hellersdorf. As you can see, it wasn't as hot anymore. It was October. And it was on the Alice-Salomon-Platz, which is a very prominent central square in Hellersdorf. It's next to the Alice-Salomon Hochschule, which is the local University of Applied Science. So we worked with the Transferale of that university, and we also were connected to the local administration, whose building is just in the back of this, of the Kiezlabor. And we were able to connect also with an actual active participation process that was going on that public square. They hadn't intended to do actual participation on the public square that they were trying to redevelop to make it more climate resilient. So we connected with the agency that did the participation process, mostly on meinberlin.de, and then 2 official ideation workshops where people had to go to a place and register and so on. So this actually, in our view, actually helped to make the public participation more accessible. Here you can see a map of the public square. So we tried to offer different ways to participate. So people could just talk to us, and we wrote down their ideas and their visions, but also their worries, what was there before. A lot of people were talking about the past and what they are missing on the square, like a market stand and also bigger events for the public and so on. So they could leave their ideas, wishes and worries. And then because it was so accessible, you don't need to register, you don't need to sit down. You can also just sneak in and have a critical look, and maybe someone approaches you, and then we start a conversation. Some people who were a bit more ambitious, they could also draw or write themselves or need what they would like to see in that public space. So here, this is taken from our website, Kiezlabor.berlin. So our plans, right now we are in Gropiusstadt, which is in the south of Neukölln. You can see it there on the map. It's almost in Brandenburg. And then there is also the next location, Lichtenberg, where we will be from the 3rd of June. So also very soon. We will be there for 2 weeks. Also very interesting program in collaboration with the local University of Applied Science, HTW, Hochschule für Technik und Wirtschaft. So they are offering also a very cool program. And then we will continue our summer. Probably we will also come to Schöneweide for a little pop-up. Just 3 days without the container, which is something new we want to try, because the container, as you can see, is very nice and has a lot of things, but it's also very big. So not all the local authorities say yes to, you can put this container at this place, because it's very heavy and some people don't know. In some places it just doesn't work. So we try out a new format where we just come for 3 days with our furniture and our program, but no container. And then throughout the summer we will also be in Kreuzberg. Kreuzberg is here. No, where are we? So we will be in Kreuzberg also. Of course, we will also be in September. And then we will also be at our summer conference of City Lab for 1 day in Mitte. And our August placement is here in Charlottenburg, where we will talk about public furniture, public street design, and so on. And then we want to finish our year in Pankow, in Prenzlauer Berg, Pankow, at the library am Wasserturm. So there we will be actually for 4 weeks, so our longest placement so far. And we will also connect with a public participation process of a new Kiezlabor initiative. And in all the locations we have very motivated partners so far. So we try to have even more connection to official participation processes and even more partners who are very motivated to also contribute to the program. And after a year, I thought it was also nice to just look into what our conclusions so far. After 5 places that we have visited, we can say that there's a need for easily accessible spaces for participation and contact with local administration. So what we can see in the places where we go, that people are first looking a little bit skeptical, especially now in Gropiusstadt, for example, because there's a lot of poverty and a lot of mistrust in institutions. So there, people are first looking a bit skeptical. What is this? Do they want to sell something to me, or do they want me to buy something? And when they get that, no, it's for free, you can just sit down, have a coffee, and maybe look at the program, and then join one of our workshops, or just observe what's going on, or just chat with your neighbors. Then people start to gain trust, and after on the 3rd day, we already had a group of local people who were like, hey, I'm coming again, what's your next program? So we always have a local fan group after 1 to 3 days, which is very cool to see. I'm now from the view of Gropiusstadt, I can also say it's people who come from very poor backgrounds, who don't get access to a lot of cultural stuff, who don't really trust administration so much anymore. So in that sense, it actually works to connect administration and people who are a bit skeptical about a lot of institutions. On our 2nd day in Gropiusstadt, we had the local mayor of Neukölln here visiting, and it was a very sweet get-together where people actually started to talk about topic, like a lot of also people with disabilities came and asked questions, and then there were also a lot of kids who were asking questions and just commenting and enjoying that they could just meet the mayor and have a coffee and a cake with him. So also in terms of digital transformation, I think it also works in the formats that we offer, that people get a better connection to digital transformation. At least they understand how it can be used, but they also see things very skeptical still. But I think it's nice that we offer some formats where people get a view and get a look into how that works. We also work at all the locations with Seniorennetz, which is an initiative that gives senior citizens offers tablet courses for senior citizens, and we always offer coffee, cake, and Kiezlabor for elderly, and it works very well. People just come by, have a look, learn a bit about their website and their offers, and just stay for a chat. And I think I already said it, but I want to emphasize again that it's very, very important to work with local partners to follow up and connect. So I'm already kind of finishing, so there's going to be some more time for questions. But I want to say first that I invite you to check out our next placements and the program on Kiezlabor.Berlin, Kiezlabor.Berlin. You can also stay updated following our CityLab social media accounts or sign up for our newsletter. And we always look for cool initiatives, new ideas for our next locations. So if you want to collaborate with us, come talk to me or just write us. And also, we sometimes are still looking for hands-on support at the next locations. So we have so if you want to work with us, you can also talk to me. just a quick look, it's not me alone. So actually now we have 2 more people who are not yet on this presentation because I don't have a photo yet. But yeah, we have a team that some of us only do Kiezlabor, some people do also other projects, but this is part of the team. So here are my contacts in case you want to write me. And please, I'm curious about your questions or comments, if you have any.
Ich habe jetzt die ganze Zeit auf Englisch.
Ich muss auch dahin kommen, ich habe keine Kopfhörer.
Ich habe es auf Englisch gehört, aber du redest Deutsch, ne? Okay. Kurze Frage, ich komme jetzt nicht aus Berlin. Was kostet denn die Mobilität? Also sprich der Transport und also jetzt keine Detailzahlen, aber so insgesamt, was hat denn die Herstellung dieses Containers und der Betrieb dieses Containers und das Transportieren des Containers gekostet?
Yeah. So in case anyone doesn't understand, I'm giving this presentation in English because I hoped that some people might join who don't speak German, because I always like to get ideas from outside as well. But the question was, how much is the transport, how much was the container, and something else. Running costs and so on. So the container, I would say, is if you want to have a mobile lab or give this idea to an institution that you are connected to, I think our variant is quite expensive. I don't know the exact numbers, so don't quote me on that, but roughly 100,000 to change the container, to build all the furniture and to do everything. And then we also have some running costs for workshop, electricity not, because we have electricity, but just a few fees for the placements and so on, some marketing stuff. But we distribute the flyers ourselves because we actually think it's a nice idea to get to know the neighborhood before, so we just do it ourselves to put all the flyers and stuff, so that's not so expensive. And then we have the honorar, so we have some people who actually help in the place. At each place, we just hire an additional person to be present and talk to people. So that's, I think, the biggest costs. And some workshop facilitators that are freelancers, we also pay, of course. So, yeah, that's the biggest cost. Not super expensive. And the transport, we have a transport company that has crane. So I assume that it would be more expensive. It's a few €100, like 200, 300 euros per changing location. So it's not crazy expensive, but we are in a network of mobile labs, and there's very, very different variations. So there's also some real tiny houses that you can transport with a car, but then there's also a lot of cargo bikes that are the minimum version if you just want to have small pop-ups. So I think there's lots of different options depending on what you actually want to achieve and what kind of program you want to offer. So it doesn't have to be always a container. Some people always ask me, and how many containers do you still plan? And I can tell you that running one container is a lot because we offer a lot of program. So the container itself is very easy to handle, but the program and talking to the people and so on, right now we only have one container and don't plan to have more. So we have 5 more minutes and we have to stop sharp. So maybe we can have the 2 questions.
Yeah, I asked the question in English. So I'm not sure if you already said it, because I was a bit late. But what is happening with all the information you collect? Because you're talking to so many people. Is it just more about giving information to the people, or do you also collect the information?
That's a good question. I don't know if I said it already, but depends on the different locations. I said that we try to connect with a lot of participation processes, and then we have the direct contact and we collect the information, we put them in a document, and we give it to the public authorities or the partners of those authorities. So in those cases, the information is actually just part of the normal participation process. So then we actually do something with that information. In some cases, we just collect ideas and collect things that we give to our partners. And in some cases, we just inform. So it depends on the location. Our preference is to actually connect with participation process or create a participation process where people can actually co-create and so on, but it's not always easy to actually realize it. So in some places it's more about bringing people together and informing people, giving new ideas. But yeah, our ideal is to also use that information, use what comes out. Maybe last question and then.
You have alluded to it a little bit in your conclusion, but my question would be, what do you think about the project in relationship to the topic of the conference? So who cares?
For me, the topic of who cares. So I think it's very interesting to look at the container also from the perspective of who has access to topics and who has access to what, and also to the topic of digital transformation, especially. For a lot of people, they just feel this is not for me, this is not my topic. So then having this very low-key approach where people can just come by and just sit down and talk to us and they get a drink for free and so on, I think it actually helps to allow more people to maybe care about what's going on in their surrounding, and also helps to make it more accessible for some people. I think that's it, because I don't want to take longer than necessary. Or is there more? And one more question. I have 3 more minutes, actually.
First of all, thank you for your talk, for your presentation of your work. I'm curious about how easy is it to work with the city and with the officials, because you're not directly connected to them.
We're not directly part of the administration as City Lab, but we are very close to the city. So the Senatskanzlei supports us, and then we also work with the local councils, the Bezirke. So in that sense, we are very close to them, and we are also close to getting the confirmation that we can go to the different places, because it's not easy to get the administration to say yes to a big container being somewhere in the public space. But so we are very close, and still yet it doesn't work always. So we also encounter a lot of difficulties and problems and a lot of stress in that terms. But we are quite close, and that helps also. Okay, I have more time for one more question. Someone else wanted to say something.
Mich würde nur interessieren, wie ihr mit Barrieren umgeht, wie zum Beispiel Sprachbarrieren. Denkt ihr das mit in euren Programm?
Difficult access and inclusion in terms of language, for example. We have a lot of program in German, but we always offer also to translate, because it's such a small thing, and there's always at least 2 people from us, so we can also always translate. There's sometimes also a program in English where we also offer translation, and sometimes we just do both, because some workshop facilitators just speak English better than German, and then I, for example, just jump in and repeat what they said in German. So we try to make it inclusive in that sense. And in terms of wheelchair accessibility, it's very easy, because it's just on the street level. So if the street level is accessible, the whole thing is accessible. And we try to always find also toilets that are accessible for wheelchairs, which is not always easy. But yeah, I think right now I have to stop, I guess. Yes, okay. If there's more questions, I will hang out here, so talk to me. I'm very curious about your opinions and questions. Thank you.